welcome to my channel about piano playing and piano repertoire. My name is Cole Anderson. If you like this channel, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and also consider making a donation to my Patreon account at www.patreon.com/independentpianist. A clickable link is in the description box below. Patreon allows viewers to support their favorite independent creators with monthly pledges. You can set your pledge as low as $1, and any amount will help me to continue to bring you this content, so thank you very much for your support. Also, if you would prefer to make a one-time donation instead of committing to monthly pledges, I also have a link to my PayPal account in the description box as well. So I appreciate any kind of support you can lend. Thank you very much. I also teach online, and I accept ambitious students at all levels, so just drop me a line at cole@independentpianist.com for a free consultation if you're interested in lessons. Today, in honor of Christmas Day, I have another arrangement from one of my musical heroes, Percy Grainger. This one is an arrangement of an aria from a cantata by Bach. Specifically, it's the movement Schafe können sicher weiden, or Sheep May Safely Graze, from Bach's cantata BWV 208. The original aria is scored for soprano, 2 recorders, and continuo. It's a very sparse orchestration and extraordinarily beautiful in its original form. This movement has become so famous over the centuries that you can hear it in all kinds of arrangements. And on the piano there are several, the most famous of which is one by Johann Petry. And Petry, just as an aside, was a brilliant Dutch pianist and pedagogue. He taught several illustrious American pianists, including Earl Wild and John Ogden. Petry himself was a student of Ferruccio Busoni. He was actually one of Busoni's most famous pupils, and Busoni was kind of a legendary figure, an amazing, godlike pianist and a composer of a height of originality. And also, as an aside to that, he was one of the most successful transcribers of Bach's organ works for piano solo. So Busoni has a whole series of transcriptions of the great Bach organ toccatas for piano. They're quite brilliant. Anyway, the Petry arrangement is very faithful to Bach's original. It's just a literal transcription, and it's been recorded by many artists, including Leon Fleischer has a beautiful recording, and there's a wonderful recording by Petry himself as well. And it's well worth looking into. I might even put that on this channel at some point. But personally, despite how beautiful the Petry arrangement is, I actually prefer this one by Percy Grainger. It's very eccentric, but I think it's breathtakingly beautiful. Grainger's arrangement can't even really be called a transcription of the original Bach movement because almost nothing is left quite in its original form. The original aria is in strict 3-part da capo form, so it was very common in Baroque cantatas and operas. It's a strict ternary form, an A-B-A, in which the final A section is an exact repeat of the first A section. Well, Grainger condenses all the sections and connects them together, and he also adds some pretty shocking harmonic twists and turns. This is another example of a piece in directional tonality, so he begins in C major, and by the end of the piece he's modulated to A major. Throughout, it is highly capricious and quite fantastical in its treatment of the theme, and in its basic musical style. But the most striking thing he does is at the beginning of this setting. He transforms the thirds of the original setting in the recorders into a setting in tenths. He explains why as well in a note. This ramble is colored by the thought that Bach, in writing the melody in thirds that opens and closes the number, may have aimed at giving a hint of the sound of sheep bells. really love this. It creates a kind of vivid image in my mind. It's totally my own imagination, but I can just see Grainger, who was a great outdoorsy kind of fellow. I could just see him taking a ramble across the English countryside, and he hears sheep bells from a flock in the distance over the moors. As he walks, the bells in the distance merge with his imaginings of this aria, and the idea comes to him, why not? Bach would have heard plenty of sheep bells in his day. He might have been thinking of that when he wrote this. As he walks on for several more hours, the melody of the original keeps going through his mind, always reaching to more and more fantastic evolutions. Finally, when he arrives back home, he sits at the piano, and this improvisation just wells up and pours out onto the keyboard, the result of all his impressions on that ramble over the countryside. And what comes out is not necessarily logical or even cohesive in a normal sense. After all, it's just a written down improvisation. But it's a lovely remembrance of a special frame of mind and a special moment in his life. At least that's what I like to imagine. Further, on a practical note, don't be discouraged from playing the piece if you happen to have hands that can't span a tenth without arpeggiating. That's true for many pianists out there. It's actually a rare piece of repertoire where you are required to span an interval wider than an octave or a ninth without breaking it. But in this case, there's a very simple solution, which is to simply rewrite the opening into thirds, like this. As you can hear, it still sounds quite beautiful that way. So, please enjoy the video, have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and join me next week on New Year's Day when I'll be finishing up my Rachmaninoff First Concerto post. So, you won't want to miss that. Thank you very much. Till next time.